I'm Florence. I'm 23. I grew up in France, in Paris, and then we moved to the countryside, an hour north of Paris, next to Beauvais. Some people know the city. And then after that, I did my undergraduate degree in the United Kingdom at the University of Bath. I studied international management and Spanish. So as part of my degree, I did a year abroad in Chile. That was really, really cool. And after my graduation in July 2019, I took a year out to gain more work experience. So I did an internship in Germany. And after that, well, lockdown happened. So right in time, I came home to France for lockdown. And that's when I decided to apply to master's degrees. And I applied to several programs in Europe, and I got into INSEAD. So I'm now studying part of the pioneer class of the Master in Management, the MIM, at INSEAD. The main reason I decided to do a master's degree is that 1 year after my bachelor's, I realized that I lacked key skills because my bachelor's was I only did half of management classes. The other half was about Spain, South America, international relations, and so on. So I really wanted to have very strong foundations, very broad foundations in, AI, coding, accounting, finance. So all the core electives that the MIM program has. So that's why I've decided to do a MIM program and not, masters in finance or masters in human resources. And obviously it was a bit of a gamble to go to INSEAD for the first ever MIM program. But on the other hand, I think not only me, but a lot of people in the cohort, we all saw it as a sign that it was historical that we were in the first batch, and it's INSEAD. So I mean, yes, we're going to compare the program to other MIM programs, but we know INSEAD, we know the reputation, we know how good the faculty is, the staff is, and we get to interact with MBAs as well, which is incredible in terms of exposure. So I think it's definitely worth it. We see them around all the time, so obviously it's up to us as well to kind of reach out. If we have an interest in the companies they've worked at before, we can interact with them through clubs as well, because the clubs are shared, co-led. Obviously, we're less MIMs in the committee, but we also have a say in how the clubs are run. So all those initiatives. So it's really nice that we're not separated. I know in some schools it's very different, MBAs and MIMs, whereas at INSEAD we're all part of the INSEAD family, so it's really nice. We're 98, if I'm not mistaken, and there's a lot of diversity, people from everywhere. I think mainly, I think our top nationalities are French, Italian, Chinese, Indian, but we also have we have someone from Mauritius, Morocco, a lot of people from Asia, all over Asia. We have someone from Argentina, someone from Nigeria. So it's very broad cohort. And we also have a lot of double nationalities, which I found really cool because I'm 100% French, so I'm always amazed by people. We have a girl, she's Lebanese, American, and British. So I found that super cool. So, and in terms of experience, we all have between 0 and 2 years of experience post-bachelor. So, either people come straight after the bachelor's, if it was a 3 or 4 year bachelor's, or, if they took 1 or 2 years of working experience afterwards. So our average age is 22 years old. And I think our average experience is about less than a year, I think, in terms of work experience. The process is quite straightforward. It's similar to other schools. You have essays to write about your motivation, why you want to do a MIM, what kind of return on investment you want to get. So I think it's a really important question to ask yourself. and what do we want to do afterwards, short term and long term in terms of, in our career. And then we need to have 2 recommendation letters, so one from a professor and one from a manager or someone we've worked with. And then there's obviously the GMAT or the GRE. So I think I thought personally that was the most stressful and the element that required the most preparation. And then obviously CV, and then for INSEAD we had online interviews, video interviews straight after we submitted. So those can be quite scary. I found them quite fun, but I know some people can find them a bit intimidating because obviously you're talking to a software. But the questions were quite interesting, so I enjoyed it. It's been a very challenging moment to join education. But I think INSEAD is one of the only schools that is still open because they've put so much effort into keeping our campus safe. So we have weekly PCR testing on campus and we get our results within the day. So that's quite impressive. Obviously, we there's gel everywhere. We wear masks all the time. We social distance. And we also kind of now getting used to keeping track of our contacts because it happens that we've had a few cases. So obviously as soon as someone is positive, there's a list of contact cases. I've been one of those. So you're just sent home for 2 weeks. So it's very strict, but obviously it helps. It's the only way to still have classes, like physical classes on campus. And obviously I think this has been done there's a massive IT support behind it because all the classes, we can also follow them from Zoom. So in any class, there was always someone following the Zoom chat and telling the professor if there was questions or doing a recap of what had been said if if we couldn't hear really well some of the questions or the comments. So I think it's been, we can really see the investments the school has made into keeping the campus safe and also ensuring that either on Zoom or physically we still have a top quality education and a great experience. It's a 10-month program, so it's really short compared to majority of MIMs, I think, that are 2 years. So the 10 months are divided into 5 periods of 2 months. So we have P1, P2, P4, P3, P4, P5. And in each period, we have 3 core courses. So I'm going through the last week of P1 right now. So our 3 courses were financial accounting, marketing, and data analysis. So we have the core classes for 5 weeks. And then obviously at the end of the 5 weeks, we have exams. And then we had 2 weeks of what is called practicals. So practicals is kind of a way to put into practice elements of the 3 courses we've had. So right now our practical is called leveraging data science for marketing. So it's kind of applying data analysis to marketing with also a bit of accounting. So we have companies coming, guest speakers, we do simulation. It's very intense, but it's really good because every day we learn something new. And also throughout the 5 first week, we had workshops. So we had a problem-solving workshop, we had a case, we had an interview workshop, which was really useful, especially on Zoom, because all the recruiting process is going to be done on Zoom from now on, well, for most companies. We also had an arts of communications workshop. So it was a lot of fun. And before P1, we also had P0. So P0 was also classes that we had to finish, but it was all online. And P0 was more a way to deep dive into the program throughout July and August, because we started in September, so prior to joining physically the campus. So we had some coding and programming with Python and R. We had some, career introspection exercises. We had some art of communications also to prepare for the workshop. So we also had some languages classes, so it was a lot of fun. We have our home group, which is the group with who we do all our group assignments for the first period, and then we do one of the 3 core elective group assignments throughout the whole throughout P2, P3, and P4. So it's kind of a way to handle long-term relationships, and then for each P2, P3, and P4 we'll have a new period group. So it's kind of, that's more short-term, and but also we'll have continue to work with our home group for the whole year. So there's a lot of group assignments. I don't know what's the exact kind of share between group and work assignment and individual assignment. I would say there's more group assignments, and exams were individual, but obviously we all kind of helped each other to revise, not during the exam of course, but to beforehand to prepare. So there's a lot of help, which I was really impressed about in a very positive way. There's so much support. Whenever we have a question, there's always someone who knows, who tells you, oh, you should ask this person or that person. So I think we've all been super impressed by how supportive everyone is, and also in terms of grading. So we are graded depending on others. So it follows the grading, and it follows a normal distribution. So we all graded with a Z-score depending on what's the average of the class and what's the standard deviation of the class. So you can locate yourself amongst your peers. For the first period, for instance, we had Tuesdays and Thursdays completely free. So it was up to us to organize ourselves to dedicate time to careers, job search, networking, but also obviously work for the group assignments, prepare for the next classes. So there's definitely a lot of work, but it's all about prioritizing, and it depends on each and everyone's objectives. So in terms of grading, INSEAD doesn't disclose grades unless we're in the top 10%, which is called the Dean's List. So if I want to be on the Dean's List, of course I'm going to put much more effort than someone who just wants to pass, and on the other hand gets maybe invest more time into sports or into getting a really, really good job. So it's quite good in the sense that we're kind of master of our time and where we allocate it. There's obviously a lot of clubs, whether it's professional, so in terms, industry-based, like consulting, retail, luxury, consumer goods, finance club, investment banking. There's also all the, more geographic clubs, so Africa Club, Latin America Club, Middle East Club, emerging markets, all of this. And there's also a lot of, we launched a gastronomy club or, rugby club. So there's a bit of everything. And in terms of how we can get involved, it's really easy to get involved. We just go on ask to be added to the group chat and be added to the newsletter. And in terms of leadership, club leadership, there's one MIM ambassador per club committee. So we've just had our election, so we all voted for each other who we wanted, to be, which MIM we wanted to be represented by in the Latin America Club committee or the Global Leadership Club. So it was just last week. So I think we'll see more throughout P2 how this is put into action and how, more events happen or workshops and so on. Most of people live in Fontainebleau. I wouldn't, I think, I know some people live in Paris, but I think the commute is just, I wouldn't want to commute 1 hour back and forth every day, so that adds up to 2 hours because we're driving 1 hour from Paris and by train 45 minutes. So we all live in Fontainebleau. We all live within walking distance on campus, which is really nice, 10-20 minutes. Some bike, some just cycle to campus. And I think it's fairly easy to find a flat. Obviously, there's not much there's so much demand that agencies kind of have the bargaining power, which can be frustrating at times, but I think it's the same in most student cities. So it was quite straightforward. You just you don't even need to, obviously they know that most people at INSEAD are international students, so they were surprised when I asked to come and visit the flats in person, because usually they're so used to people not being able to come over beforehand that they do, you know, online visits. So they have really cool like 3D visits things. So yeah, I think it's quite straightforward. I've definitely had two moments like this. My first one was at the end of the first week. We had a speech by Professor Peter Zemsky, who's the Associate Dean of INSEAD, and also he's Dean of Innovation. And his speech was just incredible because the energy he brought on the stage, there was definitely fire in his eyes. I was front row, so I can tell you it was amazing. And it really all made us, you know, at this point, we all knew why we chose INSEAD, because we all realized how we're part of something much bigger now, and how incredible it is that, you know, we have access to a network of, I think, 60,000 people throughout the world. And that if we reach out to them, they're more than happy to help, genuinely, which is fantastic. So I think that was one of my moments thinking, okay, yes, you can get caught up in the daily life, the daily stress of assignments and deadlines and everything, but every day you're also part of something much bigger, and it's fantastic. So that was definitely my first enlightening moment. And I would say the second is related to this, but it's more on a personal level, to kind of realize that it never stops. So it's up to me to put boundaries and say, okay, today I'm going to sleep. Today I'm going to take 3 hours off for myself, and to just kind of take some space take some distance with everything going on all the time, and try to just handle the high and the lows, and be a bit more mindful of everything. I think for me, it means that, you know, we know how to do business, but now it's not about how to do business, it's about how to do business for good. I think it's really empowering as well to think, okay, I can launch initiatives that are going to help so many people and still be profitable. So I find it very empowering, and so I'm definitely, I think I'm at the state, I'm still really young, but I really want to keep this in mind into projects I do later on, and throughout my life, just to try to always see how a project could have a broader impact on people.